Okay, hello again. This is a continuation of the Darknest video. Part This is part two. So that rally already left, and it's already been completed. Um, but what I want to do, I want to show you a trick. Um, before before you put on your attack gear, before the rally leaves, go ahead and put on your travel gear. And this is travel gear. So I think unless you have champion gear, there's no travel gear for offhand and for boots. But for these, this can really speed up your, like, let's look here. Let's just look at the travel speed difference. So if you don't have these built, go ahead and build some travel gear because it will really help you, especially if you're going to be tacking like um, small hives. You can just put on your travel gear, send out cav, you know, if it's obviously your army research is much better than who you're attacking, you can just go ahead and put on your travel gear and you can burn the hive like 3 times quicker. And you can just, you know, gang bang real quick, get out, hit and run. So let's just see the travel stats for all right, so here's your travel speed boost. 53%. That's huge. That's huge. If you're burning a really large hive, that's huge to get your troops back. I mean, you can send out 2 or 3 armies. You can burn a large hive in like less than 10 minutes, So that's just a little trick um, to get, especially for darkness rallies too. If you want to do like 3 really quick darkness, you want to be put on your travel gear before it launches, and then once it launches, then go ahead and switch to your war gear, and then you're all set. Because once it leaves, let me show you. Once it once it leaves your castle, once your troops leave your castle, the boost is set. You don't have to leave it on the whole time. You can go ahead and switch it out as soon as it leaves. So, okay, and then the other thing I wanted to show you is before you before you rally anything, always double check your talents. Okay? This is kind of what I use. I leave my training speed on if I'm just running darkness rallies. I just I do something like this just to kind of give me like all around stats so I can do any kind of I can do an infantry, cavalry, or range darkness. I don't have to switch talents. Now, if I'm if I'm gonna rally like a real target, and let's say it has all cavalry in it, then I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna switch it, and I'm gonna switch it all to range. I'm gonna just max out all these range, max out HP, and I'm gonna hammer that guy who's all cavalry, I'm just going to hammer him, and then I'm going to put on my range. Or if it's all infantry, then I'm going to set all these to cavalry, and then I'm going to put on my cavalry gear. So just make sure that you're not like in economy talents when you run. If you're going to run a Darknest 4, um, I'm sure there's some weak ones you could probably, if you're really big might, you could probably just get away with just staying in economy talent and running it. But for most people, you want to make sure you're in some sort of war talents. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's check that report out. So so we won. That was good. Okay, so we got an E12 reward and a little tip about rewards. We found out that the 14 essence actually gives off better reward. Usually gives off 500 gems, whereas the 15 essence usually gives like 9 hours of speed ups. So the E14 is actually a better one to do if you have a choice between the E14 and the E15. Even though the E15 is a Darkness 5, the E14 gives off a better reward. So here's what happened. So we only had 600,000 troops, and the Darkness had 3.2 million. And so you'll run across people. They'll see this 3 million in their scatter report, and they'll be like, "No, you can't beat a Darkness with only 600 troops. Cancel, cancel. It's got 3 million troops. Oh my God, we're gonna lose." But the truth is, if you have the right troop types, which we did, let's look at the let's look at the battle report. Okay, this is all it had 3.2 million T3. Okay, and we sent in mostly. Of course, there's always one guy that screws it up and sends the wrong troop type, but we sent mostly range. And let's go back and look at the phalanx. Okay, so it sent an infantry. So that means that since it didn't have any infantry, that means it automatically defaults to cavalry. So it hit our range. So we had the optimum setup for this start. It's the only reason we won with only 600,000 troops against 3.2 million. So we had the optimum setup with the range against the cavalry for the front line. So we didn't do too bad with that. But this just shows you the power of correct troop type over correct number of troops. So we could have filled the rally with mixed troops, but that actually is worse than sending the one correct troop type because in the end, it's all about morale. It's all about morale. It's not about number of troops. It's not about anything else. It's about morale. So let's go ahead and watch the video, see what happened. So the wall's kind of coming down slow because we only had 600K troops. So that's why we're getting stuck on the wall a little bit here. And then you'll see the cavalry come up in front of the range. So now their cavalry's hitting our range now and just getting mowed down. You can see the morale just, I mean, we're just totally demolishing this dark nest. So good job, everybody who joined, the 3 people who joined or whatever. But that's pretty much how that's my process of finding and um, defeating a darkness. That's pretty much how I go about it. And remember, if the target's infantry cavalry, you send all cavalry. If it's all range cavalry, you send all range. And if it's infantry range, you send all infantry. So you're always looking for that null counter idea where you're sending all one troop type, you're sending the correct gear and heroes that go along with that troop type, and you're just gonna hit a lot harder than if you try to send a bunch of mixed troops and you're sending mixed gear, you're sending mixed heroes. You're not gonna hit as hard. So sometimes though that's unavoidable and you have to send um, mixed. Like a 4-2-4 usually is the most common, the safest way. Like if somebody is an anti-scout and you're trying to rally them, it's pretty big might, you're probably going to want to go in like in a 4-2-4, um, is usually the safest ratio. And what that means, a 4-2-4 is you're sending 40% infantry, 20% range, and 40% cavalry, is all that means. But um, we'll do a video on that as well, more of um, the advanced ratios for doing rallies, things like that. But for now, um, I think that's enough for now. I think you get the general idea because you don't have to be 140 million might to beat Darknest 4. You can be 30 million might and beat Darkness 4 if you've got, a decent battle hall and you have decent gear, and you have decent heroes. So you don't have to be. I think a lot of people are intimidated um, by doing the Darkness 4, but in reality, if you send the correct troop type and you send the correct heroes, um, you should have no problem beating one, especially if it's like an E10 or an E11, the easier ones to do. You should have no problem. So um, it's just about having confidence in your setup and confidence that you know how to attack it and you know what troop type and what gear and what heroes to attack it with. So I hope these videos helped everybody, and please give me some feedback if you like these videos and um, what sort of things you'd like me to cover. So um, until next time, I'll see everybody later.